Okay, at this time, I would like to call the September 26th meeting of the Wolfeboro Police Commission to order. We will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance because we don't have a flag present. And also, if you gentlemen agree, I'd like to suspend adopting minutes from last month's meeting until we've had a chance to thoroughly review them. Yes. They are quite lengthy, and we just got those.
I move that we dispense.
Second by Commissioner Boney. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Chief, if you would proceed, please.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me. One moment, Chief. For the sake of the people that are watching on television, we are in a different venue this afternoon. We are at the Abenaki Base Lodge, the new building that just opened last year. It's a beautiful facility. Town Hall is undergoing a little bit of floor work in the Great Hall. And of course, the library is still under reconstruction. So here we are for this month. We'll be back at the Town Hall next month in October. To the camera's immediate left, my far right, Captain Mark Libby. Next is Chief Dean Rondo. To my immediate right, the camera's left, is Commissioner Bob O'Brien, Commissioner Steve Wood, Commissioner Joe Balboni, our Selectmen's representative Paul O'Brien, and our Secretary Amy Lucio. Now, Chief, if you'd like to proceed with our monthly.
Thank you, sir. And just so everybody is tracking and everybody at home watching us knows, we're running. What we do is we report the previous month's statistics. So we'll be reporting basically for the month of August. So even though we're in September or the end of September, we reported the month of August because those cases and numbers have been finalized. So moving forward, gentlemen, the first slide on your deck is incidents year to date. You see we had a 17.77% reduction in incidents. That's for a variety of reasons. Summer was coming to a close. We had some bad weather, and that's pretty typical. Same thing with moving to your next slide in the deck. We're down on arrests, 24.39%. It's difficult to really to do any type of trend analysis from month to month. Where you really have to start looking at this, and this is the reason we do this, is we look at it year to year or in 5-year increments and try to do some trend analysis and connect the dots. It is interesting. Sometimes it's anecdotal. Sometimes you'll have some spikes for a variety of reasons, especially with arrests. If it was for example, an underage drinking party or whatever the case may be, and a number of arrests were made. So, it's very common for incidents and arrests to go up and down. So gentlemen, moving forward, if you have any questions on the background data, just let me know.
But can I ask something?
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate your comment about the, and I don't know what the right word is, but hard to do the month-to-month comparison because summers get in the way and all that.
The ebb and flow.
But how about same time last year, same time now? So August last year, August now. Is there?
Yeah, we can do that comparison.
Is it too hard to put that together?
No, it's not. It all depends on what the commission wants.
Yeah.
If the commission wants month to month, we'll do it month to month. If they want same time last year, we can do same time last year. It's
Because that takes out seasonality, right?
It takes out seasonality. It doesn't give a good representation. There's no way to give a representation for the previous month.
Then if it doesn't work,
Yeah, this is, and just so you know, this, and folks, for you people watching us at home, this is the commission's, this is what the commission wants me to report. This is not what I want to report. This is what the commission wants to report. And it's important for them so they can weigh activity and they have objectives that they want to accomplish. And so we, in over the years, we've modified the commission reports from time to time based off the commission's desires, and we will always do that. So we have a pretty sophisticated database program that goes back to about 2003. Before that, we used the old Fox Pro system, which is really defunct at this point. Moving on to the next slide in the deck, you'll see the activity for the officers. You can see how busy they've been And then you've got the year-to-date totals down below. So that gives you a really good understanding and idea of just how active we've been over the year. Just remember, when you look at that and compare officers to officers, which I encourage you to do, I think you should do that. That's really important. That's what the captain and I certainly do. Just keep in mind that some officers are working some of the very important but low activity shifts, and that would account for why they appear to be not as active. For moving on to the next slide in the deck, which is collisions, you'll see that we had a slight increase from 15 up to 17, 13.33%. And again, at the end of the year, that's not uncommon. Folks are closing up their camps. There's more traffic on the road. They're taking advantage of various venues and activities a lot more. And we're seeing a lot more vehicle traffic. Incredible amount of vehicle traffic. In fact, the captain happens to comment all the time. He says, "Gee, look at this, Chief, all 6,200 people in town on the road at the same time." It happens every day.
That's very thoughtful.
So the next...
Road scholar.
So the next slide, yeah, that's the joke, right? So the next slide in the deck is, the accidents, and I'm only because I did a very detailed study for our beloved highway department and town manager at the request of Paul O'Brien, because they're having to look at some very difficult traffic issues that are occurring, road engineering type things that are occurring out in the northern portion. Of course, we're always very happy to help our fellow town department heads out and provide information to the Board of Selectmen and so forth. But if you look at the what I call the usual suspects, where most of the crashes occur, again, it becomes very telling. And this is also indicative of what I like to refer to as data-driven operations. This is how we focus our traffic enforcement. And if you look at your traffic stops, part of the background data, gentlemen, that I provide for your edification is where the stops are occurring. And you'll see that they're occurring on all what I call the usual suspects, where all the main traffic crashes occurring, and that's just common sense, right? I mean, that's how we drive these traffic crashes down. So traffic stops year to date, we were down a little, 13.83% from July's high of 340 to 293. So again, even though it's a dip, it's not that much of a dip. And that also accounts for the fact that, we had officers on vacation, officers in training, officers out ill, and then you got the background data. And then I also provided you a breakdown that's actually shorter than in your background data for all the 23 stops that resulted in summonses. Okay, so you can see where those are occurring and for what reason. So going back up to this, the 23 tickets were given out, and that's a 7.84% chance of getting the summons. So it's less than 10%. So vast majority, if you will, 93% of all of our stops are not punitive in nature; they're educational. So moving on, you've got the detective's summary sheet, and just to highlight, he has carried over 7 cases from July 2019. So he picked up an additional 5 cases in August, and 2 cases were investigated. 3 cases were 2 cases were investigated as misdemeanors. 3 cases were investigated as a felony. And he closed the 2 misdemeanor cases out, and he closed 1 felony level case and sent it forward to the county attorney's office. And you'll see the cases below that were investigated: 1 theft, 1 criminal threatening, 1 case of child abuse, 1 felony theft, $18,000. That's a detailed case, and that's still ongoing. And 1 felony bad check case, which is for
11,000.
yeah, that's a typo there, but that should be $411,000.
411?
$411,000. So yeah, so that's the stuff that's going on, and obviously that'll all end up in the county attorney's lap. Percentage of cases this closed this month is 40%. And cases closed by arrest is 20%. And so far he's managed to close 76% of his cases. So that's actually a very good statistic. There is no school resource officer report because school is out for the month of August. So we'll pick that up at the beginning of next month. So moving forward, Mr. Chairman, if I may, with the chief's items, I do have 2 items for non-public session under personnel. So there will be a need for that. So moving on to the budget, the command staff and I conducted 2 internal FY19 budget reviews this past month. So far, we're coming in at just over 4% underspent for the end of the 31st week of FY19 budget, and approximately 1% underspent in dispatch. So we're running, pretty close there in dispatch. So I'm keeping my eye on that, and we'll be doing another internal budget review within the week once we close out September. We have essentially finished our 2020 budget preparation, and we're going to be voting on that later tonight. And then you gentlemen will have an opportunity, once I complete this, to take a look at the PD budget, take a look at the dispatch budget, take a look at the animal control budget, make whatever changes you gentlemen deem appropriate, and then vote on it, because I need to present that to the town manager at some point, and then once he makes whatever changes he's going to make, he's going to move it forward to the Board of Selectmen. So I definitely want you gentlemen to vote on the budget before I present it to any of those folks, and we'll make whatever changes you deem appropriate. I'm very excited about the 2020 budget. I think a lot of hard work has gone into it. We got some great guidance. We had a little strategy session with the chairman and Board of Selectmen representative, our liaison officer, Bob, our correction, Paul O'Brien, and we took the guidance that was given to us at that point, and we made some further adjustments to the budget. So I'm really happy to say that right now, absent the non-discretionary items that I don't have a control over, we're only up about $8,100 in the budget, so that's pretty good. And so the next question is, okay, why are you up $8,100, right? Why are you up $8,100, right? That's the next question that's big. Well, the cost of doing business increases, all right? So mileage reimbursement, right, which is set by the federal government, right? That increases. Training costs increase. Okay, so that somebody could say, well, you could get into a philosophical debate. Is that really discretionary? It's non-discretionary. I got to train my personnel. I got to make sure that we're doing all the right things. And training is very important, because if we don't train, we're going to make mistakes. And folks can fall asleep at the switch. So we don't want that. Okay, cost of bullets, right? Cost of bullets, ammunition is going up, right? And and it's funny, you say, well, what do you really shoot your guns that much? We qualify, and we practice, and we drill, because when we have to use a firearm, whether it's dispatching an animal that's been injured in a motor vehicle accident, or God forbid some other reason, you definitely want to make sure that you're using that tool correctly. And whatever you're shooting at, and when you're pulling the trigger, you want to make sure those bullets are going exactly where they're intended. So that's, in terms of high liability, we want to make sure we're doing that right. So yes, training is important. Marksmanship qualification, using all the right skills, that's critically important in law enforcement. So those costs go up from time to time. And that's what we're dealing with in this particular case. But aside from that, I'm very excited about the budget. And we'll move forward, and we'll answer all the questions that are asked of us. So moving forward with that, getting out of that and getting into personnel, Benjamin Church has obviously passed his entrance PT test, and he's reported to the academy on 3 September. Right now, all is going well. He has approximately 4 weeks into the academy with another 12 weeks to go. We wish him well, and ladies and gentlemen, for the folks listening at home, let me tell you right now, his life is miserable. It's just miserable. They're just, you know, there's an old Army adage that says, just embrace the suck. And so it is, I hate to you know, laugh like this,
That's
but
your choice.
yeah, but you know, we've all done it, we've all gone through it. Some of that training can actually be quite painful down there. And you know, my heart goes out to him, but he'll make it through. He's tough, he'll make it through. And it's all good training, it's all good training. It's just, I look back as long nights, it's academically challenging, physically it's challenging, emotionally it's challenging. So, you know, that's why I say it does real, just embrace the suck. He'll get through it, he'll be fine. Moving on to operations and criminal investigations. In terms of police investigations, prosecutions, August continues to be a heavy month for the Wolfeboro PD. The PD continues to work on some major investigations and major prosecutions. I expect these matters will persist into the early fall. In terms of police prosecutions this past month, we saw 29 defendants who responded to 32 charges. Of those 32 charges, 25 pled or were found guilty at trial, and 1 was no pros. That just simply means withdrawn, because the defendant was deemed incompetent to stand trial by a judge. Okay, so this is a really important thing I just want to emphasize here. And what, you know, some people say, well, what does that mean? You got to understand that in every criminal offense, the first thing that's required is for the defendant to have a culpable state of mind. This is often referred to as intent, right? So if we remember way back in the day when Perry Mason was on TV as a soap opera, and they would argue about intent. What was the intent? You know, and they'd have these long drawn out arguments on TV about the intent of the criminal mind. That's what they're talking about, is the culpable state of mind, right? What is the intent? If a judge determines after a psychological evaluation that a defendant doesn't possess a mental capacity to tell the difference between right and wrong, he cannot possess, or she cannot possess, that first element, the criminal mind, the culpable state of mind, if you will, for lack of a better term. All right, so therefore, if they don't possess the mental faculties to know the difference between right and wrong, they can't be held criminally liable for an act. Okay, so that's what that refers to when we can't prosecute. All right, we just can't prosecute. So that's what that really means. So in this particular case, 1 defendant was found incompetent to stand trial by the trial judge, and the state has no other option other than to withdraw the complaint. We have to drop the charges because it can't be prosecuted. And that's under jurisprudence, right? That's just the way it is, and it's like this in the federal government in all 50 states. Moving on, additionally, 6 defendants agreed to have their cases placed on file pending good behavior for 6 months or more, with diversion, education, and restitution components added to their sentences. The conviction rate this past month is 96.87%, with approximately, are you ready for this, $17,197.62 in fines, penalties, and restitutions being out. Folks, crime does not pay, don't do it. Dispatch, under matters of concern this past month, Wolfeboro Dispatch sustained major near catastrophic failure of a motherboard component, an integral part of our dispatch console. A used but newer component systems have arrived, and as of 10 September 2019, the repairs had begun. And I'm happy to report that the system is up and running beautifully with 0 hiccups. We have essentially, if you will, for lack of a better term, extended the life of that system probably for about 18 months. So this is a good thing in the fact that it gives us a little bit of breathing room in moving into 2022, but not much. The system that we used, if you will, we cannibalized the system from another municipality that no longer needed it, and we essentially added it to our system. That's what we did. So if you want to call this, you know, brain surgery, that's what we did. Okay, we removed the brain of the old system and replaced it with the brain of a functioning new system. this system will go through one more upgrade, which is supported by Motorola Corporation, and after that, we're back to where we were. After that, there are no more upgrades available. The system will no longer be supported. No more repair parts are available, other than what we managed to salvage from the old
So what are we doing about a new system?
So that is something that we're going to be taking a vote on. We have established the CIP warrant article. Last year we put $102,000 away. This year we plan to do that. You gentlemen will be, I'll be asking you to vote on that warrant article. A replacement console is approximately $350,000 for the hardware, and then approximately another $50,000 or so for the deinstallation, installation, that goes along with that. So at the current rate, we should have $408,000 by 2022, which should be just a little bit more than what we need to purchase the new console, a brand new console system, and then do the deinstallation of the old system and the reinstallation of the new system. And that should serve us quite well for, you know, my thought is another 10 to 15 years. Now, what I am going to recommend, gentlemen, is that once we do that, then we continue with the CIP, but we drop it back from $102,000 to maybe $25,000, $35,000 in that neighborhood. So we start putting a little bit of money away, because we don't want to get ourselves into this predicament ever again. Yes, sir.
Just, I'm sure you'll do this, keep shopping the price of the console, because.
Oh, of course.
And then, you know, just make sure you're accruing the right amount of funds, which I appreciate you wanting to reduce maybe, but just keep shopping the price of things.
We will.
I would be astonished and fall off my chair if I found the things that are being sold in municipals, if the price is going down. Haven't found that yet in anything we're looking at. So that's a sad commentary, but it just feels that it's going on that way. So keep shopping the price of food.
We will, sir, absolutely.
And that new system, do you have a service contract on those?
Yes, we do.
What is that running in?
That's good. That's a really good question. I don't
The new one?
The new one?
I don't know.
Oh, you mean the one we just replaced, or
The new one.
No, when you buy
a brand new one? No service contract in place yet, because that hasn't been installed, but there will be. There will be a new service contract, and I have no idea what the cost of that will
it could
be.
be 10% of the hardware price. It's tough.
Is there any possibility that the current dispatch system could be put up for
Yes, there is.
sale?
There is. So, and thank you for bringing that up. So, you know, I'd love to be able to get rid of property like that. And when it's done, when this system is done, right, when we are done, let me tell you something, when we are done using this thing, just be mindful that it's done. Stick a fork in it, take it out of the oven. It's cooked. Now, does that mean it wouldn't be useful to a smaller agency than the Wolfeboro PD, or does that mean that somebody may not want to purchase it and put it in a museum? And I'm not fooling around, I'm serious. Because by that point in time, it will be over 20 years old. So yes, those possibilities exist. Will we get a tremendous amount of money for it? No. But I'll take anything we get. I mean, honestly, I will take anything we get. And then, just like this, you know, we found this system on, believe it or not, we found this new brain on eBay, right? Yeah.
You never can tell.
You never can tell, yeah. So if I can get a couple of bucks, if I can sell this thing honestly for a couple of bucks, but it won't be much.
You'd be a true Yankee.
I am a true Yankee, I'm proud of it, but yeah, I am resource-minded, believe me. But yes, I would like to because we're not going to need it. We're not going to need it. So we will either cannibalize it and part it out, or we'll sell it for a museum piece. I'm not joking about that. I mean, there are places that want this stuff.
Good luck.
Museums don't buy anything.
So
Donation.
we could charge people to see it.
Touch it. You can touch it.
All right, so moving on. So motor vehicle enforcement, speed issues continue to be a problem in our community, and I want to let you know, all you folks out there that have been commenting on our Facebook page relative to speeds on Forest Road, thank you very much. We are aware of it, we are working it, and you'll see us out there patrolling. I only have so many radar warning signs to go around, but Forest Road is on the list, and we are aware of it, and we do appreciate your letting us know. And so keep the comments up and keep the comments coming, because I do appreciate it. So speed issues continue to be a problem in our community. Please pay attention to the posted speed limits on our town roads. Speed complaints represent some of the most common quality of life issues we receive at the PD. Please be courteous to your friends and neighbors and don't speed. We will be monitoring our roads very carefully. If you are speeding, please slow down. The life you save may be your own. Thank you very much. That being said, the department is continuing its enhanced speed enforcement operations in the following areas: Forest Road, Laner Street, Cotton Valley and College Road areas, Beach Pond Road with a focus on the area between Pine Hill Road and North Line Road, Center Street, North Main Street, 109 East, Bay Street and Sewell Road. The reason for these speed enforcement operations is due to citizen complaints and the data collected and analyzed by our radar trailer. We will continue our efforts in these areas until we are sure that the speeds have come down. If you travel these roads, please be mindful of the posted speed limits. Again, thank you very much.
Could I suggest that you include South Main Street, because you had indicated from the number of collisions that happened that there were 6 of them there, so perhaps that could be another area.
Yeah, so just by way of explanation, we'll do, Commissioner. By way of explanation, South Main Street, North Main Street, they get patrolled very heavily. Those are some of our heaviest, and of course, obviously, Route 28, Center Street. Those are our heaviest patrolled roads. They see a lot of activity, but absolutely.
When you put the trailer at 7-Eleven, that worked beautiful.
Yeah.
That worked incredible.
You know, I can't begin to tell you how many compliments and citizens coming out of the woodwork that and just love those signs. They love them, they love them, they love them. And I tell them to go see the Board of Selectmen, go buy more. You know, tell them we want these signs. In fact, we have it looks like we have another citizen group from, well, what area is it? The Captain, you were dealing with that individual?
Yeah, Springfield Point.
Springfield Point, they want to buy one.
Well,
Actually, they want to buy 2.
Well,
And
then they found out the price.
say again?
Then they found out the price.
They
It
should
is
buy 3 and
expensive.
keep one for a spare.
Yeah, they're not inexpensive. They're about $6,500, and but
That's
we
cheap.
get.
That's cheap. Save somebody's life, that's cheap.
Oh, of course it is. I see it the same way you do. And now with those signs, there is obviously there's the data connection package, because everything is Wi-Fi. That's about $1,500. That's a systemic cost. Once we purchase that equipment, then we have the systemic cost of about $1,500. And that's also an insurance.
Is that a year?
A year.
For each.
Yeah,
Let
for
me ask you
each.
a question, because you know I drive truck all day, and going down to Sioux Road, and I said to myself, Jesus, why don't they make one have a double-sided one?
Well, that's probably, yeah, that's probably, well,
But
because they can
double-sided.
sell us 2 for the price of 1, right?
No, seriously, no, that makes a lot of sense, you know, I'm going down there doing.
Yeah, you should be able, right, you just hit the nail on the head, you know, in order to really get the total understanding of what's going on that road at that moment in time, you need both north and south or east and west.
I mean, you get down that road, it's 30, okay? Then you get a certain point, it's 25. Then you turn around, come back up, it's 25, then it goes back up to 30.
Right. That's correct. That's correct. You really need 2 sides. So what we typically do, and what we're seeing us right now, the radar trailer is posted up on not College Road, but North Wolfeboro Road, where they just did all that beautiful work done by our Public Works Department. The road is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. But what you have, unfortunately, now that the road has been fixed and widened and freshly paved, you know, you got people that are, you know, winding up to become a moon launch, right? They got to get those little gerbils rolling up before they enter the highway down there at Route 28. So we posted the radar warning trailer down, and what we're doing is we're flipping it around one side, the other side. Pat's Perry's in charge, and he's doing a fantastic job. But these are common problems, and this is what happens when, and every time we fix a road, every time we repave a road, it becomes a landing strip, right? And we're aware of it. We're trying to address these issues as best we can. So yes, the radar warning signs, they work great. They're a great tool. They are expensive. And we'll do the best we can and get these signs around to everybody that is wanting them. But they do work, and they do slow traffic down. And they're cheaper than a police officer. So budget, I've already briefed you on the budget. Where it looks like we're running straight and true, a little close in dispatch, closer than I want to be. The next update on the third quarter will be during the October Police Commission meeting, and that will bring us up to the conclusion of the federal FY fiscal year. We still have one more month in the town's fiscal year, but we'll do the next briefing in October and let you know where we're at with that budget. But I'm not expecting right now, unless we have a some sort of major issue, I'm not expecting any cost overruns. Just a quick note on the FY 2020 budget process. Following this presentation, I will brief the commissioners on the FY 2020 budget, as I've previously stated. And I will seek a vote from the commission to move forward after any budget adjustments the commission wishes to make. For our viewers and listeners, please be mindful that the PD has been working on the budget since the end of July. And the PD's budget team, consisting of myself, the Captain Sherry Moore, my executive administrative assistant, Commissioner Robert O'Brien, Budget Committee member Thomas Bell, Committee member Matthew Planch, Selectman Paul O'Brien, and Commission Chair Steve Wood, have been hard at work building the PD's FY 2020 budget. Additionally, this construction has taken place with guidance from the Board of Selectmen, the Town Manager, and the Town Finance Officer, all of whom are or were involved to some extent. In short, there's been a lot of very hard work which has already gone on to this budget, and the Commission has had this proposed budget for the last 3 weeks, reviewing it before this meeting. Many adjustments have already happened at many levels. This product is what I consider a 95% solution moving forward for the final review and a vote before it moves to the Town Manager and the Honorable Board of Selectmen to be further reviewed and adjusted as they see fit prior to being forwarded to the Budget Committee. This is indeed a long and daunting process, and it is meant to be and is designed to ensure an accurate and concise, no-frills budget to the town and to ensure the PD has the adequate resources needed to execute its core missions and tasks. So thank you very much. And the reason I wanted to say that, folks, is you're getting a glimpse in this meeting on the budget, and we're going to have a discussion about the budget. And I want you to know that there's already been an awful lot of hard work that's gone into this. This isn't something that these 3 gentlemen up here are taking a look at for the first time, and it was just important for me to get that out, because that's not the case at all. Moving on to training, Officer Benjamin Church has started the New Hampshire Police Academy. Sergeant Strzok has conducted K-9 training this past month. Officer Llewellyn conducted a two-day SRO training conference. Officer Sparrow attended a Primex training course entitled So You Want to Become a Supervisor. Dispatch, there was no training. Dispatch was short one personnel who was out on medical, and then they had all the normal vacations and so forth that are typical this time of year. So there was no training scheduled for dispatch. Outreach and matters of interest. Both the captain and I conducted a department staff meeting to put out new guidance. That's what I call tapping the rudder. Both the captain and I met with concerned citizens regarding a wide range of issues and community involvement topics. The captain and I spoke on Wolfeboro Community TV. And we had as guest speaker Principal James Riley. So that was exciting. The captain and I continue to be regulars at the men's breakfast meetings each month. The captain and I continue to attend all the boss meetings. The captain continues to be part of the master planning process and the technical review committee and joint loss committee. And I spoke to a group of new and international students at Brewster Academy and welcomed them to the town of Wolfeboro and went over some nuances of life here in the United States and life here in Wolfeboro. So that was well received, and I always appreciate doing that for Brewster Academy. And safety tip of the month, school is now back in session. It's in full swing. Please be mindful after the long, hot summer that school is indeed back in session, which means that children and adults will be working and walking out to our area school buses, and will be picking up and discharging students at various locations around town. Parents will be dropping off their children at the Carpenter School in the Kingswood Complex. All this makes for quite a bit of traffic congestion. Please be mindful of this and leave extra time in the morning for travel. Also be mindful of school buses and stop when required to do so as they are discharging their passengers. These young men and women are our future, so and there's nothing more precious than our youth. So let's protect them and give them the room they need. Thanks. And now I'm going to turn it over to Captain. He's going to talk a little bit about Code Red.
So, Code Red, it's a emergency notification system that goes over through an app, cell phones, regular phones that you can communicate with. It's a faster way. It's a great tool for not just for the police department, but actually for the town of Wolfeboro. So I just finished the application process and sent that in, so I'm still waiting on that. It's a free service. But what it really does, if we have an emergency incident that's going on in town, we can notify certain levels of communication basically through one phone. Yeah, one phone call, or we can send a notification through the app, which then notifies anyone who's on the app of what's going on in that general area. So I think it's a great tool.
It is what it essentially is, it provides us the capability to do near real-time emergency notification to large population densities. Hundreds, thousands of people almost immediately, within essentially nanoseconds of Mia or the captain or myself pushing that button. We'll be managing the Code Red emergency notification system out of our central dispatch. It will be another tool that dispatch has. We can tailor it for specific groups, and we can also use it for non-emergency type events if we need to get messages out to groups. So let's say a good example might be the around the lake road race that happens every couple of years, where they get hundreds of thousands of runners up in the Lakes region, and they do this round the Lakes road race. So if they were to enter into Code Red, if they were to add their group notifications, all their leaders and so forth into Code Red, and then we had a weather event such as a thunderstorm, a severe storm warning, whatever, we could send out a notice to specifically that group to say, hey, you guys got all these runners out on the road, you got all your support staff out on the road, take cover, or you need to be advised we're under a tornado watch, or whatever the case may be, but take precautions. So we can get notifications out. So it's emergency, non-emergency. Very excited about it. This is a great asset to have for the PD, and the captain's in charge of that project. So it seems to be going well. Gentlemen, one last thing in your packets is a note to Sergeant Asherbo. I often receive very nice letters about Sergeant Asherbo and letters of thanks and so forth and so on. And I also want to bring to your attention that he was also recently honored by the Catholic Archdiocese and received the Medal Order of St. Michael. St. Michael, as you know, is the patron saint of police officers and paratroopers.
Yep.
So I'm very proud of Sergeant Asherbo. It was very nice that the church has recognized him for his hard work and community spirit and mindfulness in everything that he does as a police officer. And it's a high award to receive from the Catholic Church, and I am just thrilled to death. I will be placing a letter in this file congratulating him for that honor, and I would hope that the police commission would consider to do the same thing.
I think I saw him on WMUR.
Yes.
Receiving the award.
Yes, it was indeed very
The
nice.
church actually reached out to me for some background on him as well. Because a number of years back, I hired him when I was on the commission as a rookie patrolman, kind of like you. And it's always
Gee,
nice.
thanks.
It's always nice to
See them do well.
To see them do very well, and the fruits of his labor have paid huge dividends to the town, to the community, and so forth. So,
He's a great guy.
absolutely.
Do we want to take a very quick break, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, or do you want me to roll right into the police budget, sir? Subject to your questions.
I think what I'd like to do with my fellow commissioners are in agreement, and we'll move saying to discuss the budget and these other items that we have in a non-public session.
Okay.
And that we were not going to delay Peter anymore. I don't think it's really anything exciting at this point. It's still a work in progress, so the public will obviously get their full
Yes, they will.
full report when it's completed. So with that, is there any old business that anybody wanted to bring up at this point?
I'd like to say one thing. You know, you spend a lot of money on Center Street. And I noticed there's 4 handicapped people every day in the wheelchairs or whatever the hell, the carts they ride around in. They don't use the sidewalk. They stay out in the main road. Why?
That I don't know.
I've seen it every damn day. Every day I see it. 2 or 3 same people.
I would
I
agree.
can't believe it.
I would agree
Have you
that
seen it?
Not well. I've seen a couple. They're coming from.
I would agree that being on the street and
Yeah,
on the
that's where they're coming
sidewalk
from.
is
You're right,
essentially
the ledges.
pedestrian is
They're
dangerous.
coming from the ledges.
You don't want to do
I
that.
can't believe it on the road. And those are brand new sidewalks for the handicapped. Why don't they use them? That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. To me, it poses an additional danger that it doesn't have to be. We can. I do know the agency that manages those buildings, the facilities. It's a Concord office that manages Harriman Hill, the Ledges, and Christian Ridge, and I can speak with them. Reach out
That'd be
to
fantastic.
their spokesperson and the one that manages, and have them speak to the clients and ask them to use the sidewalks for their own safety. Or you can either.
I mean, they're brand new. I mean,
Yeah.
they're beautiful. Why don't they use them?
Yeah, that I don't know, and that, you know, you're asking me why they're making that personal choice. I don't know. I would agree with you, Commissioner Balboni, that if you're a pedestrian, and I would call anybody, whether it's in a motorized car or a wheelchair, a pedestrian, if you're, you know, in the road, you know, when you have an opportunity to use the sidewalk, I think perhaps it hasn't dawned on them because of force of habit. I'm just going to think, but I don't know. That's a great question.
When somebody gets crushed by a dump truck, they'll find out.
Well, there is that. There is that element of danger there, and I happen to agree with you. Commissioner or Chairman, Mr. Wood, if you were to give me the point of contact, I'd be happy to make that phone call for you, or you could do it, sir,
I'll do it after.
whatever
I've
you.
got it in my phone. I've got her contact info.
Okay.
Mr. O'Brien, sir, do you have anything from the Board of Selectmen that you wish to impart?
Personally, I think the entire police team really did a super job on the budget. Who knows where it goes? You know, as the chief and the captain and you guys and all of us have said, we're gonna torture the numbers. We're not gonna torture the people. We really need to just get a good handle on it. But and I say this very honestly and very sincerely. This police department sweats the details when it comes to putting the budget together, and I think that's noteworthy. It really is. You know your numbers, and that's an important thing to do. The one encouragement I always give, I've given the chief, and I think he heeds this, is we want to see better outcomes over time. Whatever we're doing, to keep the people safe and to help them understand how to keep themselves safe. Over time, we just want to see things, we want to see the slope of that curve go down. And I personally see a lot of effort on your parts to do that. So from the selectmen's side, yeah, there's 102,000 teed up inside the CIP. That process is done, well, almost done. It looks like these coming warrant articles are going to have a couple of million of capital roughly in there to be looked at. We're trying to right now figure out what the tax rate impact is. If we just simply put it out as taxable stuff, or whether we bond some of these things. The public safety building hasn't changed in terms of how much is in the bucket. So if Mr. Goodgame is watching, we haven't changed the number. We haven't changed the date. It was the last time he asked, has it gone off into the ethosphere? But there's still a lot of work to be done there because we share medical observations. I think it's an eye-popping number. You think the retina gets detached. It's a big number. It's a big nut of money. And that's not to suggest it shouldn't be done. It is to suggest, though, that we really got to get into these numbers and the locations and all that kind of stuff. So I think 2020 is when some hard work is going to get done on that topic. You're keeping the budget at $8,100. I mean, that's who knows where this goes. Jim Pinio is trying to keep everybody's budget at discretionary zero, and we're all going to hold them to it. We're going to do our best to maintain the line on that, knowing full well that there's going to be uplift because of union contracts and other things. But to the extent that we can keep the budget numbers at a zip on the discretionary side, we got to. And there's a lot of stakeholders who want more. Everybody wants more. So that's really going to be the challenge for the town manager and I think for the rest of us to do. But overall, thank you for what you did.
I like the process, if I could just speak up, I like the process of bringing in, as we're developing the budget, and I just want to give, she's not here tonight, but my administrative executive assistant, Miss Sherry Moore, she did a phenomenal job. And we changed the format. The town changed the format on the budget, I think for the better. The town finance officer had a lot of really good ideas. And when we get into it, it's going to look a little bit different, but I think change is good. It's certainly going to make the budget process next year move a lot faster, without doubt. This is, anytime we create efficiencies, we're saving money, and time is money, and we're saving it. And time and money are resources. So from that standpoint, she has done a lot of hard work getting us to that point. But I like the process when we bring in the budget committee members, we bring in the commissioners, we take a look at the budget, we look at the construction, we look at all the good ideas. Everybody then gets to sit around and say, hey, I still think we're too high, or hey, have you thought about this, have you thought about that? And then the captain and I, then take a deeper look at the budget. We take a deeper dive. The captain puts some thinking cap on, came with some fantastic ideas to take us from a high of 22,000 over to down to 8,100. So I think it was phenomenal. Just a lot of good teamwork and effort on the budget. But I do really like the liaison officers we have coming in from our various agencies and assisting us, or our various town committees and assisting us. I think that's very good, and this is a process I want to continue because I think it, no pun intended, I think it makes us money, and it's the way to do business. So I'm very excited about the budget, and as you said, sir, we'll see where it goes.
What's that, Paul?
Done?
Okay. We have nobody here from the public, we have nobody here from the press. So we'll move forward, and at this time I'll entertain a motion rather to enter the non-public session under RSA :91-A 3, personnel issues, B and C.
I move that we do this.
Moved by Commissioner
Second.
Bryan, seconded by Commissioner Balboni, our polling commission.
Aye?
Brian,
Aye.
Commissioner Balboni, Commissioner Wood. Aye. We stand in recess